So today I'm going to be running a pretty strange loadout against the bots. The Epoch in particular I have not used against the bots since it was first released and it had the horrible spread because I was under the impression that it was kind of just a worse railgun against the bots until I heard the fact that this thing, 2 shots, War Striders anywhere on the body. And now that they fixed the spread, it's also usable against Hulks, it's usable against, I think Fabricators is 2 to take it out. It's generally a lot more fun to use now that, you know, the projectile actually goes where you're aiming. I'm not super experienced with this thing on the bot front. I use it sometimes on the bugs, but not all that often, so I may struggle a little bit, but hopefully I don't blow myself up. I'm going to be pairing it with the Warp Pack because I am running the heavy fire resist armor. I'll get into that later, but I really like pairing the Warp Pack with heavy armor. It really mitigates a lot of the slowdown from heavy armor because the Warp Pack doesn't care about which armor type you're wearing. The Jump Pack, you go a lot further if you're wearing light armor. Essentially, the faster you are running when you take off with a Jump Pack, the more distance you get. For the Warp Pack, it's just a set, I think 10 meters. I'm not exactly sure about the distance, but it is a set distance, which really helps you keep up the speed even if you're wearing heavy armor compared to wearing light armor. And it also pairs really nicely with charge weapons like the Epoch and the Quasar because you can teleport mid-charge if you're in a bad spot without losing the charge. So you can teleport and fire contrary to otherwise you'd have to let go and waste that shot. I'm going to be running the double-edged sickle, which is why I'm running the heavy fire resist armor specifically. The double-edged sickle is really good. It's one of my favorite weapons along with the regular sickle. But honestly, the reason I like it so much is just because it is an extended mag version of the sickle. You see down here the fire limit, that's how long the gun can fire for, how many seconds. It's a double on the double-edged sickle, and it doesn't waste the heatsink when you reach that max. It goes into heavy pen and sets you on fire, which actually reminds me I should turn off the voice sounds, because the screaming is really unpleasant to listen to. I mean, as you would expect from somebody burning from using a laser weapon. But this thing is really good if you like the sickle, because I don't think the medium armor, and heavy armor tag are super relevant when it comes to the double-edged sickle unless you are running a supply pack or have somebody following you with a stim pistol, because the stim tags on staying at those higher heats is just insane. So if you like light pen and you're okay with going for headshots, I think that's where you'll get the most out of the double-edged sickle. And sometimes it's good to go into that medium and heavy armor pen levels and the extra damage as well when you really have to fight a lot of enemies at the same time. But it's just so nice to be able to fire for so much longer than the sickle, which is why I like it a lot. However, when you're scoped in, there is a very annoying effect that is not present on the sickle, which is why I usually run this, the default sickle instead of the double-edged version. As a secondary, I'm going to be using the Senator. I really like it against the bots. Heavy pen is very useful against Hulks, tank vents, all those things. All medium armor targets take more damage from heavy pen weapons than they do from medium pen weapons, which is why I like the Senator more than the Talon on the bots. It's got more utility, even if the Talon is a fantastic pistol and my favorite looking one in the game. I think this thing looks awesome. Honestly, if I had to pick a single Helldivers gun to have a replica of, it'd be this one. I fucking love the Talon. And I'm going to be using the Thermites. It's just a no-brainer pick on bots. There's just really nothing that gives you that utility against Fabricators, against heavies, against everything. Is just so good. You don't really need chaff clear as much on this faction as you do the others. Though recently I had a thought, and I really wish the dynamite would be able to blow up buildings. It just completely came to me. I'm like, this is dynamite. It's meant to blow things up. I really wish it stuck to Fabricators and blew them up, but as it stands, this is the only grenade that can blow them up from the outside without having to go for the vent, as far as I'm aware. And as in terms of stratagems, I'm going to be running the 120mm barrage, really solid against objectives, big drops, just good stratagem all around. and the anti-tanking placement, because I'm not running dedicated AT, and this is an open map with, you can see over here, a Factory Strider convoy. And if I get a good sightline with the anti-tank emplacement, I'm hoping here I have a good angle on the convoy. A single anti-tank emplacement can take out 90% to 100% of the convoy very stress-free. It's insanely good, and it's also just generally pretty decent at attacking bases. It's a bit worse in solos because you don't have anybody to cover you, especially because I'm not running any sentries, but I still think I'll get a good amount of value from this. And finally, Vitality Enhancement. It's really good, but it's also kind of mandatory when you're running the double-edged sickle, because if you don't have this, you still take a pretty significant amount of damage from the heat up, even at medium heat levels, before you get set on fire. The heavy armor by itself, heavy fire armor, isn't enough. You need both of these things to really take no damage from the double-edged sickle. Otherwise, you're gonna... It's not impossible to play without it, as long as you have one of the two, but it is a lot... It's a lot harder to justify taking the double-edged sickle over the regular sickle in that case, because you do spend a lot of stims just shooting your primary weapon, which isn't really what you want. But anyway, that's the build, and I'll see you guys in the mission. Alright, now the first thing I'm going to do is go into my settings and turn off dialogue volume to 0. This is the essential part of the build when you're using the double-edged sickle, because oh my god, is it loud when you get to the final heat level. The diver will just scream over and over again, and that's really unpleasant for both myself and you guys, so I'm gonna spare us that. Though it is weird to not have voice lines, so I don't keep them off all the time. Alright, this is actually... Without this team, this would be perfect, but this is still a really good angle for the anti-tank emplacement, because it's far enough away that they don't shoot at me by default, but it's close enough that I can actually hit them. So here's how you dismantle these convoys. Just like that, you take out all the top turrets, because those have range, and those can actually fight back. And once those are all down, you just have free range to snipe them. And this very difficult side objective is a little bit trivialized. They do clip into each other, so you have to switch targets every so often. But as long as you're shooting towards their noggin, they will go down pretty quickly. It might take 2 uses in this case. So I don't think I've missed a shot yet. Ah, there we go. Hitting their exposed, I don't want to call it brain, but wiring inside the head of the Factory Strider, I think does the most damage, but it's a little difficult to do that at extreme ranges like this. So yeah, see, one use of the anti-tank emplacement, and exactly as many shots as I needed to take out the whole convoy. Just missing one. But as you can see, that objective is not all that bad when you have the right tools for the job. And actually, for once, I'm pretty glad that it is a War Strider Seed, because I can test this thing out that I've heard, where it's 2 shots. It is 2 shots. Oh, that is quite nice. Okay. The Epoch, I might need to do a second glance of this thing, because I was kind of underwhelmed by it at first. And I still think the stationary reload is just, like, insanely slow. Like, it's just not fun to use on the bugs a lot, because you have to sit still for so long reloading your very tiny magazines. Alright. But honestly, the most annoying part for me of the Epoch is that pretty much every heavy needs 2 shots to take out, and you have 3 shots in the magazine, which is just kind of sadistic, if you ask me. Oh. It's also a little tough to get the timing down when you're being ragdolled. But the timing's honestly not even close to the worst part of the weapon, because once you get the hang of it, it's pretty consistent. There's a lot of cues. You have the audio cue, which is what I use primarily, and you have the bar on the back as well, and the prongs that go down when it charges fully. So you have a lot of a forewarning about when it's going to blow you up. So I see a lot of people complain about that, but I don't think it's nearly the worst aspect of the weapon. I think it is also 2 shots for a Hulk unless you hit the visor, which is kind of a tough shot. But see, the Warp Pack just gives you such excellent mobility, even though I am using heavy armor, which normally I would be trudging around with. It also lets you hop over walls, but I haven't really used that function much yet. Okay, well, I'm no longer glad this is a War Strider scene, because now I do have to actually play against War Striders. It would have been nice if we could have just gotten the one to show you guys what I meant about this consistent 2-tap, but fortunately we have to play with this fair and balanced enemy. But that should be the outpost. I think this should one-shot it if I hit the vent. It does, okay. Seek out the detector tower. Okay, that was a little silly of me. I wasted the 120 charge on that outpost, so I'm gonna have to get ragdolled. No, deal with this the old-fashioned way. So here is some tech that I learned pretty recently. You can put the Hell Bomb down around here, I think, and it will hit the detector tower up there, so you don't actually have to storm the outpost. You can kind of just take it out from down here. I think. Okay. Well, I know. That was... it was a Horse Strider, I think. Man, those guys hate me. Feelings mutual, buddy. Alright. Let us start moving. I don't have too much time today, so I don't want to faff around too much. I do want to get the rest of these supplies. I'm not sure if you can get a one-shot if you hit the leg joint. I don't think so, because I think the lion's share of the damage from the Epoch is the plasma explosive, and it doesn't do very much direct damage. I am kind of wishing I got a sentry to deal with this, just to buy me some breathing room to use the Epoch. Right, here we go. It's a little bit too much, but see, the Warp Pack just really lets you pick engagements and fight entirely on your own terms, compared to heavy armor, which is usually kind of restrictive. Oh, okay. So a lightly charged shot can take out the Hulk to the visor. I wonder if it's worth actually going for the lightly charged shot every single time as a gamble to see if you hit the visor, and then following up with a heavy shot to finish off the Hulk if you miss. That might actually be pretty good if it kills the Hulk in that configuration. I'll have to see. You are lying, yes you are. If I do a proper Epoch build, I think unflinching, even if I don't really love the unflinching armor generally, it's not my aesthetic, so to speak, Alright, well this is good science. Let's see if a fully charged shot follow-up actually does kill him. But anyway, unflinching might be really good with the Epoch, just because you need to spend so long charging. Yeah, and I would have hit that shot if I had flinching. Oh, okay, so yeah. I don't think I hit the visor on that one, and he still went down. I am learning things live as we're playing here. But see, even though the double-edged sickle is in vegan pen mode, I'm still aiming for the head, because the head is still overwhelmingly the best place to kill Devastators from. So that's why I think the heavy pen has some utility on certain mission types, I think. Like flag missions where you just have to sit still in one spot for a long time. Okay, that was definitely a head hit. No, I guess this gun is so weird. I don't understand how it works. That looked like a visor shot, 100%. Alright, I am being a little slow. So let's get cracking before I get bogged down. See, if you didn't want to run the Epoch, which I don't really blame you if you don't want to run the Epoch, I think the Quasar would be pretty good in this configuration. That or the Commando again, but I've done a couple Commando videos recently and wanted to switch it up. The Quasar might still be better, but I'm having fun with the Epoch. It's just a little strange to get used to, because it's such a weird weapon. If they ever not fix I guess, but make the reload speed faster and the mag have 4 shots instead of 3, then I think it'd be in a really good spot, even if they don't touch the timing. Because I think the skill check, the timing skill check is kind of a fun minigame. Like, I haven't blown myself up with it very often ever since I first got my hands on the weapon. There's definitely a learning period, which is a little frustrating, but I don't know, I don't mind having like a weird little challenge to using a weapon. So the AT emplacement is also really good at taking outposts, because it's 2 shots per, and you can take them out from just like miles and miles away, as well as the very problematic cannon turrets. If your aim is better than mine. And it's honestly not terrible against chaff as well, but that is the big problem with the AT emplacement. Not the rocket strider one-shotting me. God, I miss explosive resist. Not the one strider one-shotting me, but the patrols flanking you is a very common occurrence that you have to be very mindful of. And if you don't have a team to cover you when you're playing solos, or your team is just a little unreliable, which, you know, it happens, you still have to be very mindful of your surroundings. Which is difficult with the audio cues being in the state that they are currently. It's not possible, but difficult. See, the 120, it's very fire and forget. I think it's better against objectives for that reason than the 500 kg, because the 500 kg you do have to like very deliberately place it, you know, compared to the 120. If you throw it in the general vicinity, it'll probably get it. There's times where it doesn't, but that's pretty rare. Oh, you survived that. That's actually kind of sucks for me. No, I should not be hanging around here. Some absolute nonsense. No, I don't think this is a particularly fantastic build. I think I've thrown too many weird things into it. I should have just stuck with one weird thing. Like the Epoch, or the double-edged sickle. Well, the double-edged sickle isn't that weird. I guess the weirder parts would probably be the warp pack, which I think is the worst against the bots. Because, not because it's bad, but because it's so good on the other factions. The bots don't really run you down nearly as much, so there's less utility in being able to quickly reposition like that. It's just kind of a convenience thing, mostly for heavy armor. As well as, it's good to get around some obstacles and outposts, because you can teleport through walls with this thing, which I haven't showcased that much. Compared to the bugs and squids though, where being close to enemies means being dead, and enemies are constantly trying to get close to you, something that keeps you away from them is very helpful. It also doesn't take up any stamina, which I quite like. That definitely is another point with the, oh wow, dialogue volume gets rid of the, you're in range of heavy or enemy artillery. I guess that makes sense, but that's a big lad. Can I? Should I? It's good to find like a little elevated spot that's a little bit on high ground to set up your anti-tank emplacement. Oh, that was stupid. That could have blown it up with the nope. I almost blew it up with the warp pack, because the warp pack does do a hefty amount of damage to where you warp. See, this is a really good biome for the anti-tank emplacement. It's kind of shit on jungle planets and swamp planets where there's a lot of plants and trees and vegetation in the way. But if you have very big open sightlines like this, it's just, you have so much free reign to just pick apart bot fortresses. It's kind of whatever against the bugs though. Like, sure, it's good at taking out heavies, but you don't really get an opportunity to sit still that long without getting harassed by chaff. And a lot of the objectives on bugs, you can take out pretty easily with just about anything. Like, you can kill spore spewers and shrieker nests just with your primary. Especially if your primary is like the Scorcher or the Purifier, it does very well. Yeah, just anywhere, even the head. Okay. The Epoch might... I don't want to say secretly be the best, because it does take 2 shots, which is a lot slower than things like the Quasar or the Eads. But being able to shoot it anywhere, like that, at any angle, that is quite nice. But here comes the part that sucks, and that's reloading. Seriously, I don't know what they were thinking when I have reload and ammunition capacity. Oh. Thank you, heavy armor. What's up, losers? I think I see the generator. What else? No, it still seems like the best anti-bulk method is to shoot 2 heavily charged shots instead of 1 small and 1 heavy. But I'll definitely need to do more testing. It's kind of hard to determine in this loadout because I don't have unflinching. I think actually unflinching, the scythe, and the shield of bubble backpack would be really nice with the Epoch on bots. The scythe, because it also benefits from unflinching pretty heavily. Okay, no, so One small, one big. Okay. Maybe it should be the big shot first, because the big shot has a chance of one-shotting it at the visor. Okay, where did you go? See, this is what I mean about repositioning with the warp pack and short weapons. It's really nice if you have a bad angle. I mean, I guess the optimal thing is to just not have a bad angle, but you don't really have control over that all the time. Now, where? Okay, let's get out of here. Okay, yeah, that is super consistent. Oh, but oh my god, there's a lot of shit here. I don't have any stems. There's so many more striders. Oh my god, please. Alright, maybe the super sample rock will provide refuge. Honestly, I'm really regretting the senator pick. In this loadout, I think the ultimatum would have been better. But I'm getting along just fine. All my deaths have been kind of not unavoidable, but difficult to avoid. Okay. The reload is so slow. The warp pack is extremely good against berserkers, so. I swear they didn't used to do that, but they blind you a lot now. Like, they give you that concussed effect with fire, which is kind of strange. I don't know why they do that. I'm 90% sure that's relatively new. I'm really wishing I also had equal outside description. See, I think that is one of the problems with the anti-tank emplacement. It's really powerful when you can set up in a good spot, but when you're getting hounded by a lot of enemies like that, it's kind of a dead slot, because you need to set up far away from enemies, or it'll just get blown up without getting any value. Which, for a stratagem with a very long cooldown, or I don't know if it's very long, but decently long cooldown, that's kind of painful. Let's see. We should have shot that guy first. And after that signal scanning portion, it's always go flip the switch, and that's how I know I don't need the console anymore. Alright. Honestly, not 100% sure what I should title this video. I think I do want to make a dedicated Epoch video at some point in the future, so I'll talk about the warp pack in this one. Because I do think the warp pack heavy armor combo actually does feel extremely nice to use. Yeah, the double, it does 2-tap them at any angle, okay. I'm really starting to come around on the whatchamacallit. Oh! The Epoch. Let's get a resupply somewhere. Safe-ish. Oh wow, you were already here. There's nothing in the game as slow as a resupply cooldown when you're out of stims. It's the slowest thing there's ever been. But now I have to find... Oh, this is an old resupply. Okay. That's convenient. I have to find the... I think I might get it. The launch codes, that's what they're called. While dodging this massive patrol. So many war striders, man. I honestly have a hard time telling where they're the most oppressive. Because they're kind of tough. Oh, that must be it over there. Okay. They're really tough on city missions. Because they can spam grenades at you from cover. But they're also really tough on open maps. Because they spam cannon shots that ragdoll you. They do a lot of damage when they hit, but they don't hit very often. So it's really the ragdoll, which is the problem customer. Because that gets you killed by the other 10 million bots that are trying to kill you. Oh my god, are you kidding me? What is he doing? I think the thermite still kills him to the top. It seems it does, yes. So thermite, I guess, is even more mandatory than it used to be on bots, which is kind of a shame. There was definitely an argument for taking at least gas grenades, because it does crowd control heavies, even if it doesn't kill them. There's another one in this pit. Oh my god, okay. I swear, I think we've seen more War Striders than we have Hulks this mission. Like, significantly more. Oh, there's so much bullshit. There's a bunker. So this is... I'm sure you guys have heard about this by now, but the Warp Pack lets you teleport into bunkers. I'm here for the stims, but, you know, I'll take fucking absolutely nothing in here while you're offering. Alright, so it's gonna be bad out there for me when I leave. Oh, yes it is. Alright, let's stick a thermite on that bad boy. Teleport out. Should I do the fortress right now? How are my cooldowns looking? We should be back by the time I get there. And I'll have a resupply. Yeah, this is the time, I think. It's also not bad, the Epoch, at dealing with clumps of tougher enemies. I don't think it's as relevant on the bots, because they don't really clump as much. But on the bugs, when you see like 3 or 4 alpha commanders just like huddling, the Epoch just wipes them out instantly, which is quite nice. Man, now that I don't have 1,000 super credits anymore after spending it on Force the Law, the urge to go to every POI is coming back. I should do a farming session after this, just to get my mind off of it. Oh, please, please, please. Don't climb! Don't teleport! That is something I totally neglected to mention, but my least favorite part of the Warp Pack is that when you are near an object that you can climb and you want a Warp Pack, you will always climb first. Even though I have auto climb disabled, you still need to hold space to warp. And that is the same input as climbing. So actually, maybe it's possible to change that in settings. Alright, you. Let me get some actual value from the Senator. So I want to say Epoch rounds. Those ragdoll you when they blow. I've never been actually close enough to want to realize that. Just one final fuck you from the grave. tough. Alright, I'm gonna... Oh, I have the DSS. Oh, I have the DSS 380. That is good for me. So let us hope that this does what we need it to. And see, the warp pack, oh, that was a bad place to warp. But it lets you warp through buildings and walls like that, which really does make a lot of outpost configurations a lot easier than they would be normally. Since you can kind of just not have to deal with a lot of enemies since they're not guarding those areas. I shouldn't have engaged that patrol for the reason like that. I was extremely foolish. But never punished. Okay, always punished. Yeah, I can barely see what I'm doing with... This is the effect I'm talking about, the sparks flying all over the place and the smoke. It does make it very hard to land proper precision shots with the double-edged sickle, which is still why I like the default sickle better. Even if I think the double-edged sickle is generally more powerful and viable against more factions. I don't really use the sickle against anybody but the bots. Okay, place 10 million years later. And the warp pack can be used offensively like that too. It's really good against mediums, but the bigger enemies do kill you if you try to warp into them, like flesh mobs and when you know it, alpha commanders. Now that is over. Let us go find the dismissal. Yeah, I swear to God, if I see another War Strider, I'm gonna turn the voice volume back on and fire the double-edged sickle at max heat. That's how desperate I am. Alright, that joke made absolutely no sense, but it was really funny to me for some reason. Alright. I think... Is that it? Or is that just a PI? That is it, okay. Of course it is charged, guarded by more War Striders. That is honestly the scariest part when you're using the warp pack paired with the Epoch. Is when you're warping, it's easy to blow yourself up as you're lining up the next shot. Which is why it's kind of... It's still a good pairing, because it's still a skill issue I maintain if you blow yourself up with the Epoch. Like, you guys have seen, I've been using it all mission, and I haven't blown myself up. It's very reliable timing, at least when you're the host. I think there may be latency issues when you're not the host. But when you're the host, it's pretty easy to time it to get the max charge every time without dying. I'm not even very good at rhythm games or any sort of timing. It's just the same timing every time. It's very consistent once you get the hang of it. So this might actually be the first time I go to max heat, and I'm not really using the heavy pen, but the extra damage and the need to not reload these things. So here's one thing you want to keep in mind about the double-edged sickle is you want to fire while prone. Because when you're prone, it immediately extinguishes you and you take way less damage compared to if you're standing. Like, you take way more damage than you do prone. So see, it's really good against folks when you're in the max heat mode. It's pretty much the only primary that can take them out, like, very effectively. The Eruptor can take them out technically too, but I think it's a pretty slow kill, like 3 shots. And there I just reloaded the double-edged sickle because I'm out of stims and I don't want to take more damage. Let's actually see if one full charge and one small shot does anything to the worst strikers. I'm guessing probably not, but no. So it seems to be, the small shot seems to be good at disarming them. Well, good. It took 2 shots, which I think is pretty bad when you only have 3 rounds per mag. But it seems to be usable at disarming them. But you need the big shots to actually kill them. Which is to be expected. The big shots do so much more damage than the little shots. The warp pack's also really nice for this objective specifically. Just this part, I'll show you guys in a second. The warp is perfectly spaced between each latch, I guess would be the best way to describe it. Okay, I got a little spooked because I couldn't do keeping. Remember, it's always better to let it go early if you're not sure, because wasting one shot is better than wasting the entire support weapon. So see, yeah, you can just warp like that, and it's super easy and quick to do that. I mean, it's easy anyway. You're going around pulling switches, but this makes it feel faster and more fun. Okay, we're gonna come towards me anyway. So see, at ranges like this is where the spread becomes a little bit more noticeable on the sickle. Even if your reticle's perfectly over the bot head, it takes a little bit longer than at close range to actually land the 2 shots it needs to kill them. But it's still not terrible by any means, especially the double edge, because you just have like 15 seconds of extremely high RPM fire. Like, you're gonna hit them eventually. What is this orb? What the? I'm kind of transfixed by this orb. What the fuck? Is it the ball bearing of the joint? Oh, it probably is the ball bearing of the joint. Okay. Huh. Why does it look so strange? That looks like it's not textured, but I think it is. Yeah, it is textured. I'm so easily distracted sometimes, but wow, I never seen that. See, oh yeah, there is the. What? So this orb, there's 2 versions of that orb. Why am I so transfixed by this orb? Straight up pondering right now. I guess that's just a bug. Yeah, so that would be the leg bell bearing. Or oh no, I see what it is. So there's an orb here as the ball bearing. Yeah, okay, so there's an orb there as the ball bearing to connect the leg to the outside of the joint, and then there's one inside to connect the joint to the hip. Okay, that's cool. The AH modeling team, man, they're so good. Like, everything in this game looks, especially when it comes to the bot front, like chef's kiss. The designs are so fucking cool. And I know, I feel like not a lot of people say it anymore, which is important. Like, sure, the devs do a lot of stupid shit that, you know, makes the game less fun sometimes, like that enemy in particular, if you ask me. But it's clear they very much give a shit about their game, and there are a ton of people that are really passionate at their studio, which gives me hope for the future. I mean, I'm super this is one of my favorite games ever. I'm super fixated on it anyway, so I'm ride or die. Unless they nerf the sickle, then I'm die. I'm not right anymore. But they wouldn't do that. It's got a horrible pick rate anyway. But anyway, I just want to be a little positive as I drown. Please climb, please. No. So I was trying to do attack there, where if you press space twice, you warp twice very quickly. But my body touched the water before I could do that, which almost killed me. Also, I didn't realize I was being so slow on this mission. The timer's out. God damn. I shouldn't be so liberal with stims, but I would like to get to the extraction and put a resupply down on it before the timer runs out. Because I have a strong feeling I'm going to need it. I also want to bait a drop out here if possible. So let's aggro that guy and see if one of them... There's a trooper there to call a bot drop. The art of rage baiting bot drops has definitely been a little lost. Holy shit! That's the range of the grenade barrage? That's fucking insane. God damn. It was like 150 meters away and he still hit that. Yep, that's exactly what I didn't want to happen. But anyway, as I was saying, the art of rage baiting the bot barrage or bot drop was very important at launch when it came to the civilian extraction missions, the ones that were infamous for being very difficult to complete. Because there, if you had a guy baiting all the bot drops away from the civilians, the mission was a joke. But if you didn't do that, it was an absolute nightmare. And with how the game is now, it's a lot easier than it was. So it's definitely not necessary to do. I say as I get torn to shreds by every enemy. But it's definitely not necessary to do. It's still just a good technique to have in your back pocket. Because having a bot drop on extract like this, when you're out of stratagems, is a little tough. And if I had called in somewhere else, then this would have been a lot easier to deal with. This still was far from, impossible. The double-edged sickle is very powerful. At close ranges, at least. And I still had a lot of stims. But I really do think the takeaway from this video is, hold on. Right, the takeaway from this video is Warpack plus heavy armor is kind of a blast on bots. In the future, I'm not sure I would run this, the Salamander heavy fire armor. I think I would run probably the heavy explosive resist or the heavy ballistic padding with the Warpack, and then you really be like very mobile and very difficult to kill at the same time. Oh, that's another technique with the Warpack as the shuttle lands, is that you can use it to warp up on containers or just like high ground, but only if it's like a little bit off the ground. If it's too high, it doesn't work. It's more useful against the bugs, because the bugs have a lot less ranged attacks. But it's still a good technique to know. Anyway, that's the mission. I think that went decently smoothly for kind of a boof loadout. Well, not boof, but one I'm not used to. I think I learned a lot of things about the Epoch, especially. And I think that was a really good showcase of the Warpack and the AT emplacement. At least against the convoy. The AT emplacement kind of dropped off afterwards. I don't think it's the best stratagem for solos unless you're on extremely open maps trying to do a blitz mission, or you really need something to take out outposts and the rest of your loadout sucks at it. But even then, strafing run might still be better for that, because strafing run also has utility against just about every other bot compared to the AT emplacement, which is kind of dead weight unless you have a really good position to set it in. Anyway, Warpack plus heavy armor is an excellent combo. Double-edged sickle, still great against the bots, even against not the Inferno Brigade. It's better against the Inferno Brigade because the fire resist armor has double value there. It helps you both with their attacks and your own gun killing you. It's honestly kind of a, I don't want to say a slam dunk pick, because there are still arguments for other weapons being better against the Inferno Brigade. I think it is the Inferno Brigade. There's still arguments for other weapons being better, but the combination of this plus it enabling a very powerful primary is kind of too good to pass up a lot of the time. Anyway, I think I have a good inspiration for making an Epoch video now, but I might do a bug or a squid video. I've done a lot of bot videos recently, so I'll see. But anyway, I hope you guys learned something. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and have fun.